My name is Chitesh Sharma. I have a joke. The only people that ever called me Chitesh Sharma were the legal system and substitute teachers. I actually go by Lalu. So bear with me. It might get a little dark. I'm a recovering heroin addict and alcoholic and repeat offender here at the federal weight court systems. I've been off probation for about 6 months. I'm going to be 31 on Wednesday. And I've been on probation since I turned 18 years old, right? And I've been off probation for about 6 months now. So when I was 6 years old, I was sexually molested. When I was 11 years old, I was raped, right? I've been held hostage at gunpoint. I've been stabbed. I've been shot at, right? And I didn't know that at such a young age, I turned to alcohol and drugs because I didn't know what was going on inside of my head. I never felt like I mattered. I never felt like I was worth anything, right? And I got stuck in the grips of alcoholism and addiction, right? And I turned to prescription painkillers, and like it was mentioned before, heroin is a lot easier and a lot cheaper to get. And I became strung out on heroin. And I was a repeat offender here in the court systems, in and out of jail. And I could never find anything that worked until I started treating my mental health issues along with my substance abuse issues, right? And while I'm out there in active addiction, I have a negative ripple effect with my life, right? Because I've intentionally overdosed multiple times because I just didn't want to live any longer, right? And the firemen came and they saved my life because my brothers were there to make a phone call. And when I was 4 months sober, I got a phone call that one of my friends had overdosed, right? And I'm literally in this man's at St. Francis, and I'm in the hospital room, and the only reason I'm not curled up in the fetal position crying at this man's bedside while he's on a breathing machine simply because they want to give his organs to other human beings is because I'm holding onto this man's leg crying, right? And this negative ripple effect impacts the families much greater than it does the businesses and so on and so forth, but the negative ripple effect extends to the community at large. And if the community court was readily available for me, right, because I would relapse and I would know that I'm going to go see the prosecuting attorney and she's going to want jail time and I'm going to go to jail and I'm going to be in a 4-man cell with 5 people with my bed next to the toilet and everybody's only talking about how they're going to get high the last time they got high, the next time they're going to get high, the last thing they stole, or the next thing they're going to steal for umpteen days, right? And that's not going to change my mentality because I'm going to be stuck in there and I'm going to get out and I'm going to repeat the same thing because I never knew anything was available to me, right? And the life I live today, I'm absolutely grateful for, right? And I still have this voice nagging at me, but it's now a whisper telling me that I don't matter and I'm not enough and I don't deserve to be sitting here at this very moment, right? But it's not as loud as it used to be. And it's not easy to become to turn your life around, right? But that's the goal of this community court, is to make it easier. Because if it was easy, everybody would do it. But the way I see it is this community court could potentially save so many lives, right? Like my friend who, at 4 months sober, I'm sitting there in this hospital room and he's dying, right? And the only reason he's still breathing is because they want to give his organs to somebody else. And if we can save these lives, the positive ripple effect that can bounce through the community will be the same magnitude of the negative ripple effect. It's not going to cost Home Depot as much money. It's not going to cost St. Francis as much money. It's not going to cost taxpayers as much money, and it's going to let these families sleep better at night, right? It affects the community as a whole, so the way I see it is we need to band together as a community as a whole to address the issue and try to put the changes in effect. Am I going to sit here and tell you if community court was available to me the first time I ever went to court, it would have worked right away? And if I were to sit up here and tell you the answer was yes, I'd be lying to you because I don't know. I don't know what would happen. But would it have been easier? Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the goal, is to make this thing easier for the people that don't see a way out, right? And the things that I've disclosed about my past, I haven't told many people, but the only reason I shared it with you here today is because it's much bigger than me. It's much bigger than me. There's so many people out there dying. Chances are pretty high that somebody overdosed since we've been sitting in this room and breathed their last breath since we've been sitting in this room and having this panel, right? So if we can put this community court together, save lives, save taxpayer dollars, I have one question. What are we waiting for? And how can I help? Thank you. So it's kind of like you got to strike while the iron's hot type of deal, right? So if I'm motivated to get clean and I go and I set up an appointment for an assessment, and assessment's not for 2 weeks out, and after the assessment I'm going to have to wait about a month to a month and a half to get into treatment, I'm going to be feeding my addiction this entire time. I probably don't have money, so I'm probably going to be committing crime to feed this addiction. If all of these things are readily available to me at the courthouse when I get to the courthouse, as opposed to coming to court, I get a piece of paper telling me I need to go to this location, but as soon as I walk out that door, Valley Cities is right across the street, right? It's one phone call away. I don't care if the drug dealer is 5 miles down the road, that house looks a lot closer than across the street at Valley Cities, and I promise you that, right? And that's what happened 9 times out of 10, right? Was I didn't make the proper choices, right? Because I was in the court and I was ready to do it, but the second I walked out of that door and I made that phone call to Valley Cities and they told me I had to wait, and it's nothing against the organization, right? This is just the way the things are today. And I made the call to the whatever treatment center, right? And they said I had to wait a week for my appointment. Well, that means that I have to not get sick for a week, because when you take away the drugs, the withdrawal kicks in, and that's the one fear that any heroin addict has, right? They will do any and everything they need to do to avoid going into withdrawal. And so now I have to wait a week for this appointment. After that appointment, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk to them. You can ask Becky. I probably called her every day for 2 weeks, leaving her voicemail saying, when am I getting into treatment, right? And I was able to make it. And not everybody's able to make it. And I'm grateful for the family support that I have that not many people do, that are struggling with the things that I struggle with on a daily basis, right? But because of the grace and the mercy of the courts, time and time again, I'm able to go to work today. I'm able to go to the gym today. I'm able to be present in my life and my family's lives today, right? I'm able to go and I speak at treatment centers a few times a month. And these are the things that I do only because I see that this life is available to me too.